Welcome to the Bad Paranormalist. In this video, we're going to look into the use of transcranial magnetic stimulation to induce telepathy. And I was tipped off to this paper by the Daily Mail. Scientists discover all humans can read minds and how you can tap into your telepathic ability. I mean, this headline is wrong, but let's get right into it. Now, this paper was found in Science Direct, Enhanced Mind-Matter Interactions Following the rTMS-Induced Frontal Lobe Inhibitions. And let's head right to the abstract.
A major barrier to acceptance of psi is that effects are small and hard to replicate.
And that's one of the major problems in any sort of paranormal investigation, is trying to prove that these things exist and that these people exhibit these qualities of these things that exist. All these events, all these phenomena, they're all very personal when you talk to the people who back to the paper.
To address this issue, we developed a novel neurobiological model to study this controversial phenomenon based upon the concept that the brain may act as a psi inhibitory filter. Our previous research in individuals with frontal lobe damage suggests that this filter includes the left medial middle frontal region.
So in previous papers, they were able to deduce that people that had brain damage in this area may have exhibited some sort of psi ability. It is a long shot, but let's keep digging deeper in this thing.
This significant effect was found using a post-hoc weighting procedure aligned with our overarching hypothesis. This suggests that the brain may inhibit psi and that individuals with neurological or reversible rTMS-induced frontal lesions may comprise an enriched sample for detection and replication of this controversial phenomenon. Our findings are potentially transformative for the way we view interactions between the brain and seemingly random events.
So this researcher's theory is that people who have brain damage will have psychic abilities, like a superhero. But before you start shoving metal straws up your nose, trying to increase your psi ability before the psi games, we'll just keep reading this paper.
Psi is a controversial phenomenon that includes telepathy, mind-mind connections, clairvoyance, perceiving distant objects or events, precognition, perceiving future events, and mind-matter interactions, psychokinesis, Radin, 2006. Although there is a well-established literature discussing the empirical evidence for psi, including psychokinesis, Akunzo, Everett, and Rabayaran, 2013, Cardina, 2018, Nelson, 2015, Radin, 2006, Varvoglis and Bansal, 2015, Vernon, 2021, Wallach, Horan, Hinterberger, and von Lukadu, 2020.
And here's another problem. There's just no consistency when it comes to the psi phenomenon. And that's one of the reasons why people love remote viewing, because it's so popular, because it has this very science-y repeatability feel to it. You know, you're doing the same thing every time, you have a number, you're writing down your feelings, and then you draw a pretty picture. All very scientific. But I digress. Let's keep moving down this paper.
Thus, further well-designed and adequately powered studies of psi are warranted, especially those that may provide insights into underlying mechanisms. Moreover, since putative psi effects must involve the brain, neurobiological models to study these phenomena are essential to advance the field.
And this is like the hubris of this semi-science, where someone can say we need more, better testing, and then throw this garbage at us. This is not yet, but the fun will begin soon.
This concept is in keeping with the retention to life theory proposed by Henri Bergson in the early 1900s, in which he postulated that the nervous system may have evolved to inhibit psi as a protective mechanism to screen individuals from stimuli that are of no interest or benefit to them. Bergson, 1914, Ehrenwald, 1975, 1978. These stimuli could create a significant distraction that could have a negative effect on survival. Thus, neural mechanisms that filter these stimuli, as well as filtering neural output resulting in mind-matter interactions, may help explain why psi effects are so small and difficult to detect. Based on this concept, we developed a novel neurobiological model to study these effects. Friedman et al. 2018, Friedman, Jeffers, Seger, Binns, and Black, 2003. This model suggests that the frontal lobes of the brain act as a filter to inhibit psi and implies that humans may have innate psi abilities that are suppressed by this frontal lobe filter.
And that was the main crutch of this guy's investigations, is things that our brain developed in such a way that it stopped us from having psychic abilities, which doesn't make too much sense. If we had telepathy, we would be like the ultimate hunting group. We could communicate telepathically with each other and just have like a massive hive of destruction, destroying everything we need, eating all the food we need. We could have instant communication with people across riverways. It would definitely make us more of the alpha animals on this planet, if we truly are right now. But since we all have this common interest of maybe we have psychic powers, here's how we get them, we can all sort of agree to disagree on this one.
Based on our findings in the 2 individuals with damage to their frontal lobes, we adopted a new approach to help determine whether the left medial middle frontal region of brain acts a filter to inhibit psi. This was the use of repetitive transcranial magnetic stimulation, rTMS, to induce reversible brain lesions in the left medial middle frontal region in healthy participants. This approach made it feasible to test a relatively large number of individuals, whereas it is difficult to find many research participants with neurological disorders affecting their medial frontal brain region.
I just don't think giving people brain damage, even, temporary brain lesions as they call it, is the best way to unlock our psi potential. But, I guess we'll find out. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of this paper. 108 people from a Rotman database were selected, and let's go to the procedures.
Exclusion criteria were history of neurological disorders affecting the brain, major depressive disorder within 90 days of study entry, active psychiatric disorder, and past history of psychosis or other significant psychiatric disorders such as obsessive-compulsive disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, and bipolar disorder, DSM-5, 2013.
You know what? And we can all sort of agree with this, that you want to get rid of people that are already crazy or have DMS disorders, because you never know what they're going to say. They're not trustworthy people. It's also good they tried to filter out people who also had rTMS before, so they would recognize, if they're in a sham trial, that this isn't how it feels. I think they just did a solid work with this one. Now they reference an older paper from the procedures they performed, so let's hold over to that paper. It's called Mind-Matter Interactions and the Frontal Lobes of the Brain, a novel neurobiological model of psi inhibition. People were asked to influence the arrows on a computer screen that they saw. The arrows would be generated by a random number generator. They would be asked to make the arrows appear on one side or the other. Before the test, they were told this.
There are some people who believe that if we concentrate on something hard enough, we can affect how things happen. We would like to see if there is a possibility that people can influence something just by concentrating on it.
After the rTMS was done, subjects were put in a soundproof room with a computer screen with arrows on it, and then this was read to them. Again, reiterating the power of telepathy. Even though it's not telepathy, but we'll just deal with that later.
Now on this screen there is an arrow. When we are ready to start, I would like you to concentrate on making the arrow move in the direction that it is pointing. Here it is pointing to the left-right. The arrow may sometimes be on the right and sometimes on the left side of the screen, but I want you to try to keep the arrow on the left-right side as much as possible. The line down the middle divides the screen into the left and right sides. There will be 5 sessions of about 2 minutes, lasting 10 minutes in total, during which the arrow will be moving. Then we will move on to the next session. Remember, I would like you to try to keep the arrow on the left-right side as much as possible. Do you have any questions? The experimenter says left when the arrow is pointing to the left and right when the arrow is pointing to the right.
And then the test was on the way. And yes, you're right. This isn't a form of telepathy. This is a form of telekinesis, or mind-matter interaction, as I guess people like to say in the psi field.
Immediately after the 500 right and 500 left intention trials were completed, The participant left the room and a control run of 1,000 trials was run without the participant in the room. The control trials were run in 2 blocks of 500 trials and followed the same order of intentions that the participant completed. After the first block of 500 control trials, i.e. 8 minutes and 20s after the control program was initiated, the experimenter entered the room to perform a key press that initiated the second block of 500 control trials and then left the room. This took about 15 to 30s.
And this is where the fun begins. Let's go down to the data and we'll look at figure 3. And it says anything over 100 is right intention. It doesn't say anything about the left intention. So we just have to get rid of those data results. And you want your control boxes to be as consistent as possible for all testing like this. And these things are all over the place. Even look at this side, this crossover side, it's completely opposite of what they're asking for. So this data is just a mess. It's very suspect. But let's head down to the discussion. Of course, they're going to address why this data is so suspect and it looks awful and is complete nonsense. I'm sure they will, because they said we need more better testing. So I'm sure they'll have a reason why this is nonsense.
As predicted by our a priori hypothesis, we demonstrated that healthy participants with reversible rTMS-induced lesions targeting the left medial middle frontal brain region showed larger right intention effects on a mind-matter interaction task compared to healthy participants without rTMS-induced lesions. This significant effect was found only after we applied a post-hoc weighting procedure aligned with our overarching hypothesis. We applied the weighting procedure in the statistical analysis.
And this is the craziest part, that after you abuse this data, drop some things you don't like, weight it, the data still looks like garbage. There's no proof of anything. There's nothing here. There's just nonsense. And like the hubris of you to earlier say that we need more better testing. Yes, this is not it. I'm sure in the conclusion you'll say, here's the testing that we need to do. This is why we messed up this time. I'm sure. He won't, I know.
5. Conclusions. Our findings in healthy participants with rTMS-induced reversible brain lesions are potentially transformative for the way we view interactions between the brain and seemingly random events. They replicate our previously published findings in individuals with damage to their frontal lobes and support the concept that the brain serves as a filter to block psi effects. This may help explain why these effects are so small and hard to replicate in healthy participants. Our findings also suggest that individuals with neurological or reversible rTMS-induced frontal lesions in the left medial middle frontal region may comprise an enriched sample for more reliable detection and replication of psi effects. Thus, studies with a focus on this group may significantly advance research in the area of psi and help bring this controversial phenomenon into the realm of mainstream science.
So, yeah, you guessed it, this paper isn't peer-reviewed. And the biggest problem I have with this paper is this researcher is convincing people that brain damage will aid in their ESP abilities. And the data just is garbage. The controls are suspect. There's no mention of how you calibrated the rTMS machine. And there's no mention of person-to-person contact. There's no telepathy brought up in this story. It's just in the headline. This paper is a joke and makes parapsychology look like a joke. You did a shitty test, you measured these nonsensical outputs, and then you tried to hide the fact that your data was garbage under a sea of scientific phrases. It truly is garbage. This might not be the best way. Researchers need to realize that parapsychology is anecdotal stories that they're trying to measure, and mass measurements of these things might not be the best way to go. Do the test, reveal the data, and show that this wasn't the right way to go. But nowadays, you can't have scientific papers where you did the wrong thing. No one wants to hear that you funded a paper that proved nothing. You have to manipulate the data and show that there is it doesn't. If people would have looked at the data and said just the conclusion and the abstract, they would realize, oh no, this thing is nonsense. Brain damage does not increase psi ability. If you're going to the psi games later this year, I would definitely suggest not inducing brain lesions.